launch the YouTube. What's up, Kenny? How you doing? Okay, so looks like we're live now. Boom. All right, so I think we're fully done with the events page now. Now let's actually start getting stuff into the create edit page, right? So that users can actually like see the preview of their lens results without having to run it against all of their other stuff. So we're gonna need to bring in the status. And that means I think I'm gonna wanna refactor the status just a little bit. Yeah, that part's a little trickier. Doable, just trickier. So yeah, let's do this. But yeah, who all's out there? How y'all doing? Let me pop out the YouTube chat. That way it's in my teleprompter, and we can get to some coding. Let me pour some water first. Okay, so yeah, let me think about this. So we're going to create at least like the preview section. Oh, I want to do some like don't show again logic as well. We could do that in local storage. Yeah. And Kenny with a 30 stream streak. Appreciate you. Oh, I guess here's the big thing, right? I know we mentioned that we want to do the events page, but I think a catastrophic error page is more important. And right, because we're in the middle of something, we can just hammer that out real quick. So let's do that. right? That'll be a quick thing to fix. Ish. So number one, we need something in the error page. We'll just grab some icon from Lucide. Or, hold on, let's go unsplash. There's not a single free image for this? No, there's a couple. There's two. Maybe technical issue? I kind of like the ice cream cone. I kind of like this one. All right, so that's what we get for the word error. Oh, the check engine light's not bad. Oh, that one's really good. The X wasn't bad? Oh, this one? Yeah, that's not terrible. Hmm. These are definitely empty. You cheater. Eh, I'd say we're close enough. In fact, maybe even just an icon would be better. Here's something we should check. So 74K is not ideal. But if we do the per route bundling, we should be good. But because of the way we're going to be doing this, it's not going to be its own route. So it would have to be part of the core bundle. And then I don't know if it's worth it. Like, I wanted some, like, cool, like, animating kind of icon thing, but I just, yeah, I don't know if it's worth it. All right, so we looked at flat icon, we looked at Lord icon, we looked at animate UI. You know what? Yeah, these could be good. I feel like this one's good. All right, so yeah, we got those downloaded. I don't think the SVG actually animates. All right, so we'll try that. We've got a few options. I'm sure there's one in Lucide we could use as well. All right, so the way that we want to be able to reproduce this is really, we could just kill the back, the back end, and we should get a bunch of like 500s, no connection. Let's just report this bot account real quick. All right, so then if we were to go here, keywords, technically those are cached. We refresh, we get errors. What we need to do, and what's up, King? How you doing? So yeah, it's technically a component that we just want to show when there's an error. Or it's a route, like we put it in the routes folder, but it's a special route. I think we'll just put it in routes and then maybe leave a comment at the top. And King, wait, what's up about package.json? Okay. I was going to say, that seems a little out of place for this, but yeah. To maintain their URL. Page they were trying to access. Boom. All right, so then here it's not 404. It will be a div. All right, we'll do flex call. Error, something went wrong. All right, so then let's find these things in their folder, which we had already done. We throw those into there, but we're going to rename this. Wow, the GIF looks terrible. Like, was there a size thing I could have done? No. All right, that's not terrible. That's got to be a Lottie file, right? Yeah, so that requires Lottie to be available. Now, oh yeah, there it is. There's loading the Lottie source. No, thank you. We are not going to be embedding that. It would be dynamic at that point, though. Like, we wouldn't run that part till it loaded. King. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so you're using NeoVim. So you tried to open package.json. Got it. That makes sense. All right, well, we'll see. We do want to go into this page and do stuff like that. I would say no connection is what we called the SVG. And let's get this page to render. So that happens down in the router. And what's up, Mr. Mister? What do you think? 95? You want to autocomplete that for me? Nope. All right, so then... Yeah, this is kind of the tricky part. So we don't actually want to do it here. We want to do it in the auth layout, or in actually like the dashboard layout. So maybe it is better as just a component. Like, it's actually so simple. Well, let's do that. Let me get more music going first. Mr. Sir. Hell yeah, Kenny. All right, yeah, let's do that in the dashboard layout, I guess. That was a good one. Yeah, yeah. And thank you, Da Vinci. Thank you for the bits. Appreciate you. So it's going to be after the header card. Okay. So here in base, oh, interesting. So it's not technically a 500 when there's no connection. I don't know. You seem a bit like a bot. Okay, interesting. So it doesn't even get handled as a proper error. And it could just be that, yeah, what we're doing here and how we're doing it is a mistake, right? Because like the way we're trying to reproduce it is actually just the issue. Whereas like this would actually work in a real world scenario. So then at that point, how could we catch this better? It is. We just have a ligature. Mm-hmm. So let's try this. Is the after response firing in the connection refused context? And it doesn't. Let me go look at the KY docs real quick. All right, so we see that there's before request, before retry, before error, after response. This defaults to true, so it throws. Hmm. So there might not be a hook for that. So let me try this. It's a little boilerplatey. I just want to see if we can get this caught like that. And if so, then that's one place that we can do this. But it's not worth writing the abstraction that I'm thinking about until we confirm that that error would be caught in that way. Okay. So one more thing. Let's go back to this part. Wait, what did I break? So we couldn't do it that way, but we could do it with the try catch. It is a little boilerplatey. I actually don't think it's going to have a 500 error. So we really just want to do it for what's inside of here, not for the response status part. So this gets pulled out into just a quick, easy utility function. Here, right, for a get, as long as it's not a 404 or a 401, we're good. We still want to probably like increment it. But error could potentially be unknown. Right, and all we get when we log the error. Let's do this first real quick. Whatever. We should be able to just see this. And boom. All right. Now it doesn't animate, which is annoying. It's not the end of the world. We do want to give that some spacing. And this is where response is potentially undefined. Because of what we did with our getter there. So we did just break a bunch of stuff by kind of hacking on our error handler here. Yeah, so doing the dot catch on it breaks things. Let's hack at it just a little bit more. I mean, here's the thing. Those things could just error anyway, and it wouldn't matter, right? So those TypeScript errors are actually a little annoying. Set to the JSON, except that JSON isn't a generic. It's all based on how they define it. Oh, it does look like they allow it. But see how it's already taking T anyway? So that's part of KY's like API anyway, right? So passing this there automatically types the JSON anyway. So it doesn't actually matter. I wasn't aware that JSON here did accept a... It does, yeah. But it already gets it just because of how KY is wrapping fetch. So it doesn't matter. What's up, JLM? How you doing? Hey, what's up, Tech Brew Boss? How you doing? When are you guys gonna have a pricing page up so I can start really like number crunching if I should be using HiCap or not? And wait, what's the yikes? Should have a pricing page up soon? Cool. So I just wanted to double check this. Were we even getting that error handler in there? Error encountered, type error failed to fetch. Yep. Does it know what kind of error it is? No. Am I still planning on going to render? I mean, I'm going to submit a talk for sure. If I can swing a free ticket, probably. All right, so the toString function is kind of fucking us a little there. But yeah, we just see the message in the stack. There's no other context on it. The biggest problem is just the fact that we're not getting this to fire. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, I've never done an Airbnb. So here's the big thing. This will handle real world issues for us just fine. So if we just get rid of that, put it back to how it was. Then we should be good. So then, real quick, is we'll set this to true. Just so we can get it to render. And then pretty it up. I think that's the right move. It's because it's left aligned, right? Yeah, that's why it looks weird. Yeah. I feel like we could just do text center on it. Okay, and then this top part. I'll do MT40. That might look weird on mobile. All right. So yeah, cool. We've got this error page now. No matter where we go and kind of like try and navigate, the URL will change, but the error page will not. And it resets on every page load. So we probably don't need to worry too much about other page reset strategies. Damn, where did these little spiders come from? Hold on, I gotta kill me a little spider. Give me a sec. Sorry, little guy. All right. Just like a little tiny thing. Not the first one I've seen as well. But whatever. I know, pour one out for the little spider. But okay, so we'll say server error, something went wrong. Call it good? I'm thinking we could take the no connection SVG and maybe like make it pulse or something. Let's just try it. Did it just animate? That's going to be way off. That's going to be fucking gnarly. All right, so it's not animating, right? And it's a little off. Yeah. So what's the class? Is it like just transition all or something like that? Um, yeah, it is just transitional. Still going to be the wrong values. I don't know why that's funny to me. But okay. We're building a server error page right now. Now we want to give that some easing, right? Do we think ease in out? And it's not necessarily SEO, Lil Seth. It is based on keywords, yes. Holidays are good. Oh, one of them's not animating. We'll have to figure that part out. All right, so hold on. We got to fix that one. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. I think I want to put this back to 1,000 And what I want to do here is we're duplicating this quite a bit. I want to see what happens if that starts going weird. I don't know what that does. Okay, so now I just feel like it's a little too much. Stagger them? That's a little trickier, but doable. I like that it's like just subtle. If we were better at animation, we could make the illusion of the world turning by just increasing and decreasing the size of two circles in the middle. All right, the vertical circles. Like realistically, we'd probably have to double the one that we got there. Yeah, to stagger them would be trickier. I think the easiest way to stagger them would be to give them just different easing. Which is not a bad idea. Transition delay? Oh, you're right. No, good call. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, we could do delay. Good catch. It's a little more work that way, but not that hard. Let me get more music going. So yeah, we did that boilerplate at least. Let's make it more pronounced, so it's just easier to tell. Interesting they do this with paths instead of circles. Yeah, kind of. Not sure the delay matters that much. Maybe only the red stuff? Oh, I like that. Yeah, so instead of animating the black stuff, we just animate the red stuff. And we still got the delay on here. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's good. I don't know if the delay is even perceptible, but I don't know. I think this works. It's not worth much more effort, I don't think. Yeah, I'm going to call it good. Let's just clean it up. Let's make sure. So that looks fine. Dashboard layout. Yeah, we can get rid of that comment. And as such, like this is the GIF they gave us. And yeah, it's just such low quality. I do think I want to name this icon. All right, server error icon. Makes more sense to me. Which means we got to just update this. Oh. But wait, what did I just rename? Yes, this goes away. All right, I'm going to call that good. Wait, no, I did services. We want stores. And I don't think we need those images. We could go delete them if we want. But the rest of that looks good. How's Yotai for state management? I really like Atomic State. You may dislike it or whatever. That's, it's just your own preference, really. But we got some stuff to fix in base here. What you gonna do with all that base? And we're not using it. So that makes that real easy. But yeah, no, I really like Yotai for state. There's been applications I've built where I was able to cut down on a whole bunch of controller logic just because of the way I was doing derived state with Yotai. And in fact, I can show this now because I doubt they even interview like this anymore. I feel like it's been long enough. But if we were to go, what is it? Tic-tac-toe? No. Yeah. I can show you how much global state I have in my app in a minute, but right. So when we consider state here, this is a tic-tac-toe game. So I have the game state, right, which is the current game state, the current game's results. And like a lot of these things, you'll see where I'm using get here. That means that this state is recalculated whenever the dependent state renders. So there's a lot of like value in just being able to like, well, yes, if I push a new game result, I can evaluate the current game and do things, right? So having this like dependent state is really, I don't know, quite valuable in my opinion, because I'm able to maintain this state. And let's just double check. User, very simple, right? Because I'm able to do that, the source code for my routes are actually incredibly simple. So this game TSX file has way less use effects than I would have had to do otherwise, right? I still have effects for fetching. Sure, that's a separate thing. But as far as like local state is concerned, that's all in my global state, and I'm just using the atoms. Right? And you'll see like even all the atoms that I have, yeah, I'm actually just having a single like set current game at this level. And then I think maybe there might be another component to check out that is doing some other like state stuff, right? So here we see we're using state. We've got an effect in there, but that's about it. So yeah, pretty straightforward. And in fact, yeah, this doesn't use any of that Yotai state. It's all passed in. So I don't know. I think it just simplifies a bunch of that kind of state management. And one second. We're going to do a shout out. I actually consider context a major anti-pattern. The moment you start getting context involved, you lose a lot of like fine-grained reactivity, and then your entire application has to like re-render based on stuff. I find that really gross. In my opinion, using things like Yotai allows you to operate on more of like a solid JS level of state management. It's not technically using observables or what do they call them? Signals. But the way that you use it and consume it feels a lot like using signals. Same equals to global state in general. It really does depend. Like, let me put it this way. Are you using useQuery? Right, like React query? If so, then yes, most of your global state's actually living in React query instead with how they do their caching. So that's abstracted away from you already. Well, yeah, that's up to you then. I think for things like caching, it's quite useful. But yeah, let's do the shout out. Thank you for the raid. Nemax. Yeah, what were you up to on your stream? Sorry for the delay. We were like in the middle of explaining something. But yeah, what were you up to on your stream? Doing some hack the box stuff? Nice. And yeah, Lil Seth. So you had a week off You didn't do much except relax and watch shows. What shows did you watch? And no spoilers. I got the first episode of Fallout out of the way. I just haven't had time to binge the rest. Wait, are they doing a weekly release with Fallout? I hate that. If they are, I'll just wait till it's done. But yeah, Nemex, welcome. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate that. For everyone joining, we were talking about just global state and what it's used for, right? So if we were to look at some of the state that I have in this application, well, yeah, something like do not show AI warning again. This is definitely not global state that's going to re-render the entire application, and it shouldn't force an entire re-render, right? So there's another example. Auth. Yeah, with auth and your access token, you still don't need to like fully do a re-render for everything, you know? And in fact, like access tokens, just nice to be able to have reactive in other places like my, data fetching abstraction. As far as the user, yeah, do you need to re-render the entire application based on the user? Probably not. There's very, very few places where you're actually rendering data for that user, like specifically. There's permissions and their org. Yeah, the org is going to trigger basically an entire application re-render, but billing tiers won't. We do still need to access this billing tier data in other places, though. And we do still need to at least cause one re-render after the data's been fetched. We only fetch it once, but, you still need that reactive. And I think it's cleaner than putting it in like a top-level use effect. And we're looking at keywords here. Keywords are a bit meh. We are caching it just for the sake of caching, though. Navigation stuff, like your previous URL. Yeah, you don't even want to cause a re-render based on this, but you do want to store it to local storage, right? And you do need to set it somewhere. So there's some value to that. This one, I could argue, could be just fully top level, for sure. Yeah, updating any of these values shouldn't cause a re-render whatsoever, but we do want to cause re-renders based on this one. But I'd still want to keep all those together, right? So I don't know, Gouda. I personally find structuring logic like this a little cleaner than the disparate places where you'd have to access it and then just passing it through context. But it is just a preference thing, so I get it. I avoid context at all costs. Here's one major reason. Things like Astro. You can't use anything that uses a context in Astro. It just absolutely breaks. So there's certain component frameworks that I've had to just stop using altogether because I want to use the same component framework for my application and my marketing site, So for that reason, I have to avoid context just inherently based on choices I've made, sure. But I still just think, yeah, context is the worst mechanism for that. And I know you avoid global state, but some global state is unavoidable, like the user's token, right? Like server error state, because you need to track like multiple errors over time rather than just responding to the one. I think it's impossible for an application to have zero global state, any significantly built application. How much could you put here and there? That's up to you. But I would find that you're actually doing somewhat global state in some of your like layouts at that point, and probably using context to pass it down. Right? Like, how do you maintain the users? Like, I'm not showing it here, but in a lot of applications, you show the user's little icon and their name in this corner. And actually, I think we do that, but We were testing like the broken server state. So let me just relaunch. Hello? Will it blend? There we go. So yeah, we do show the name, right? So like state like that, that's technically global state. And you may want to show stuff about the user in other places. But is context the right mechanism for that? I would say no. Or you create a God object that serves as the container for your global state and convince yourself that it's not a distinction without a difference. Yeah, you can do that, but then you lose reactivity, right? So by creating a God object, how are you triggering re-renders for things that care? And that's at least something context can do. But you still need something wired up to the re-render mechanisms of React. And for that case, yeah, you're basically just recreating Yotai or Zustand or whatever with extra steps. You still need to wire up to the framework to trigger re-renders when you need them, right? Because all this stuff is like async derived. Even this thing in the corner, right? Even if I'm storing it to local storage, it doesn't load immediately. So you still have to handle that like async state of the data's finally loaded. Now we need to re-render. I don't know. This is just an interesting conversation, I think. And you were speaking more generally, not specific to web front end. Got it. I do think when it comes to state, there are applications on the back end that don't have state other than like the database, but the server itself is stateless. And I find those to be really compelling ways to build backends. But when we're talking about the web, I don't think there's any significant application that doesn't have state. And I would also argue that doesn't have any global state. All it causes in some places is the code duplicating some data fetching. That is a problem for your users, though. Like, I don't know, for just building better applications, double data fetching is usually not ideal. Like, it's not the end of the world, sure, but I don't know. Again, like something like the user's name. Where are you storing the user's name? Are you fetching that on every single page? Like the user info, any component that needs it can fetch it? That's gross. Yeah, I personally disagree with that entire approach. Right? Like the organizations that we're a member of. Yeah, like we need it up here to switch teams, but we also need to then look at the organization's, what's the word, entitlements for like what they can do within the app. Fetching that on every single route just feels gross to me. Right? You fetch it on every route. Well, what happens when it changes? Right? So then when it changes, either the payload or the response type, you go change it in 10 different places. Yeah, we're talking about dev velocity. Global state makes all automated testing messy? Not really. Yeah, I massively disagree on that. Because unit testing, you shouldn't be caring about global state whatsoever because you're mocking everything that goes into the component. So that's problem solved. Right? right? Smart component versus dumb component. Yeah. Here's, I guess, the biggest thing. I have a fundamental rule that I don't do data fetching in components. When I'm breaking that rule, I need a very good reason to do so. I find dev velocity is actually majorly impacted by your ability to debug where that request is even coming from, right? How are we getting stale data on this page but not that page? Meanwhile, if you have global state, it's one place, nowhere to go look. Right? Debugging code is twice as hard as writing it in the first place. Anything that you're doing that makes the debugging part harder is massively affecting dev velocity, because creating code is the easy part. Integration tests are useful and they are affected by global state. I think it's tricky. What do you consider an integration test on the web? In my opinion, you're better off doing any of those kind of integration tests as just end-to-end tests, at which point you need that global state, because that's how the application is meant to behave. Like, you don't want to be mocking or changing anything in an end-to-end test. If you want to parallelize, you can do that, but you parallelize at the user scope kind of thing, right? So it's almost like sharding your database, but you're sharding your tests. And I do think unit testing UI components has value. I think you do need to be careful about it, because it is way less valuable than an end-to-end test that tells you everything is working. Right, like basic smoke tests. Yeah, I guess that's where like the fuzziness of some of these terms happens, right? Like an integration test could be just two components integrating with each other. An integration test could be a thing that's fetching data from the back end, right? Like integration is like one of the fuzzier like test categories, in my opinion. If you meant end-to-end tests, sure, but I don't see how end-to-end tests are harmed that much by a global state. But maybe similar to what you're saying is, yeah, in general, you probably shouldn't even be using global state in your components, right? They should just be taking in props. I know that gets grosser when you're like deeply nested, but if you have all of your global state access, as well as all your data fetching happening at your route level, and your route is, I'm breaking that rule with this, my routes have a lot of stuff in them, but if your route is getting, like it's just your data manager, and then it's like passing everything out to like actual like dumb template basically components, then your testing for those things becomes really easy too. I know. Sorry, yeah. Typing on an iPad sucks. But yeah, so end-to-end tests. I totally agree. End-to-end tests are a great way to go. But if you really did want to test like a larger component with mocked data, well, yeah, that larger component shouldn't be doing its own data fetching. And then you can mock anything you need and make sure it renders as expected with various states of the things you pass in. And to me, that's almost like I'd rather see screenshot testing for some of that stuff, and just let me know if we get a diff. The problem with that stuff is like, where are you generating your screenshots? Because font rendering is different from device to device. I've run into that before where I was doing dev on a Mac, but our environment was in Linux, right? Like our CI/CD environment, right? But because Mac does extra stuff with rendering, you would always have an inherent 5% difference between your screenshots. So that's where it gets really gross. But yes, that's just maybe like a badly architected screenshot testing suite, when instead you should be spinning up a Docker container or something anyway that exactly mimics CI/CD, and then boom, you have the exact same font rendering inside of it. Maybe it's a little slower, but it's a better experience, and it's less brittle. But not everyone has one of those processes set up properly, and you got to deal with it. And yeah, I think screenshot testing is the hardest to set up properly and do right. Made in WebGL? Yeah. So I don't touch applications like that. Yeah, I do not make applications that do like WebGL stuff or any of that. But yeah, animations, flaky. Yeah, like screenshot testing is really hard to do correctly. But when it's done well, there's just so much more like confidence you have in the stability of your components. Like it's so much better than snapshot testing, like where you're just looking at like the HTML result, right? Like Jest or whatever. I guess Jest is like deprecated now. What's the new thing? Like React test hooks or something like that? Or React testing? VTest? That might be it. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it looks like VTest is a big one. Supertest is one that I remember hearing a bit about. React testing library, you wouldn't use it though? Yeah, I never used React testing library myself. Oh, okay. So you actually use React testing library in unison with Jest. Jest is the runner. Testing library does the query bullshit and some of that. Okay. Yeah, I haven't had to write front end tests for a long fucking time besides end to end. I'm trying to remember what we were using. We were using Angular, so I think we were still using their stuff, which was Karma at the time. Karma and some other BS. But okay, so we just finished that thing. Our next goal here is we're looking at keywords, and we want to try and filter through these. So we can go to Edit, and then boom, we're here on the Edit page, and the Edit page needs to do some data fetching stuff. Playwright's really nice. The reason Playwright is because it can test every browser. So when you need to make sure that it works in Firefox as well as Chrome, Playwright is a much better experience than Cypress. As far as I remember, Cypress was still just Chrome. Oh, it does? Okay. Yeah, I guess I haven't used Cypress for a while. Oh, it asks you to pick a browser. Okay. I think that's one of the things they do the best, right? Like the interactive recording, so you can just like record your test, type stuff in, and you don't have to like hand do all that BS. That is nice. Yeah, there's some really good stuff in there. Yeah, Playwright's just a little more bare bones, like kind of on you to do a lot of the craziness. Playwright has a recording thing now? Is it a browser extension that does it? Or does Playwright have a full-on application that you load? I guess it's been a while since I've done any Playwright, too. Yep. Yeah, no, that sounds nice, too. Oh, it's a VS Code extension. Oh, interesting. It's code gen. That's literally what we clicked. Like right here. Code gen. Click. Generate test in VS Code. Looks like generate test with Playwright Inspector. Oh, okay. Got it, got it. I just didn't scroll far enough. Yeah, Puppeteer was good. Yeah, there's definitely stuff that Playwright does way better. Dinner time. So technically, I'm going out for a like holiday dinner. It's definitely way better now. Yeah, obviously, Code Girl. Um, but yeah, for dinner tonight, I don't know. I'm thinking because I'm going out for like a holiday dinner thing. I don't know if that's gonna like what food they're gonna have there or whatever. So I'm probably gonna like, I'm gonna bring a bottle of whiskey and some Coca-Cola. When I'm going to pick up the Coca-Cola and maybe the bottle of whiskey, I'll bring the good bottle of whiskey. But yeah, so I'll bring that stuff. I'll probably just grab some like fried chicken or something from QFC. There's also KFC, but I don't know if it's worth walking over for it and all that BS. I haven't had KFC in a long fucking time either. I'm sure it hasn't gotten any better. Are there any like really good fried chicken places I could stop by? I don't know why fried chicken now sounds like amazing for dinner, and I haven't made any myself for a long time. So, best fried chicken Seattle. Cookies Country Kitchen. Okay. The Chicken Supply. I could check that one out. I think the place I'm going is going to be like up this direction. Now I got to double check that. Where am I driving tonight? Ooh, I should have looked that up. I should have looked that up. Uh, it's not on that calendar. Oh. Do I even have Google Calendar set up? Shit. I don't know. I'll have to figure this out in a bit, I think. Fuck. Okay. It is not nearly as far north as I thought. It is up near Green Lake, though. Oh, it's probably like, dude, it's like right by where I'm going. Oh, wait, no, no, no. Whatever. Yeah. So, okay. Chicken Supply or Kona Kitchen. I'm going to say Chicken Supply. What do we think? How's it look? Looks like some pretty solid fried chicken. Okay, let me get more music going. Sorry. This just became a food stream. But no. Let me just look at what their menu looks like. Oh. All right, so Wednesday through Sunday, 4 p.m. to sold out. Oh man, so they might sell out before I get there. I'll get the crispy potatoes too. Oh, garlic fried rice. Ooh. Oh, garlic rice and crispy. Yeah, yep. I know what I'm getting. Garlic rice, crispy potato, and I don't know, 3 drumsticks. Actually, I'll get 2 drum and one of the stick. There we go. But yeah, it's gonna be what seems like it's gonna be some Korean style fried chicken. Filipino. Ah, okay. That's where the rice is from, at least. So yeah, no, sounds good to me. Yeah, I will definitely give it a try. Treat yourself. All right, so yeah, what's everyone up to today? I'm gonna grab this hoodie and put it on. I also think I could have a beverage before I go. You know, we still got 2 hours here on stream. But yeah, thank you for helping me decide what dinner was gonna be. So lazy mode activated, you're not doing nothing? That is fine. You're being super lazy, enjoying your time off before you start a new role in the beginning of the year. Oh, nice. You're going down the YouTube short rabbit hole, like always. You got the firefighter guy showing up in your feed. That guy is great. Actually, no. Have you ever seen his stuff? It's like actual stories from working in the field or whatever. Oh, man, he's super good. Let me just grab a quick one. Can't show it on stream because don't want the copy strike or nothing. Oh, come on. All right, well, now I'm not seeing any of them. What the hell, dude? There you go. Yeah, okay, this one looks good. There you go. So yeah, I highly enjoy his things. He plays every character kind of stuff, but yeah, does it well. Well, I'll paste it for YouTube too. All right. Anyway, the ones that are the paramedics in that style, yeah, he kind of does both. Yeah, he's like an EMT slash firefighter. I guess a lot of those people just kind of double as one or the other. All right, so yeah, we got that done. Got that done. Got that done. That done. There you go. Yeah, he's way better in your algorithm than the other bullshit. All right. So here's what we want to do. We want to create a 2-column layout on this page. We want to fetch the event for the keyword. and we want to show them on the side. So let's do that part first before we even try and get the WebLLM stuff onto that page. And yeah, let's just delete these. No need to have them cluttering things up. It's the app that I'm building. So it's not Twitter, but we're processing everything from Blue Sky. Let me just double check this. Yep. Well, I don't know about millions a second, but yeah, let me just show this to you. All it takes is a single WebSocket. All right, so we can listen to... Oh. Let me just close it for now. Ah, shit, hold on. Property is undefined. What did I mess up? All right, there you go. Oh, hold on. So let's try this. I thought I got rid of that log. Oh, yeah, never mind. So then, bam, yeah. You know, hundreds per second at least. So Blue Sky isn't necessarily as big as Twitter. But yeah, just nonstop listening to every message, doing regular expressions on every message. To RabbitMQ? No. You just So let me put it this way. If we don't match on a regular expression, we don't store the message. And we don't need to message queue it because we're using Elixir, and Elixir has processes. No, we're not using RabbitMQ. Tell them about the rabbits, George. Now we just go straight to Postgres. Now, if we were, if we needed to horizontally scale to handle a higher message throughput, then yeah, it might make sense to do that. I could store all messages and provide a historical data set for monetization. I'm good on that. No thanks. If I was going to do that, I'd do it on a totally separate server. It's not worth having that be on my API server. But storage isn't free. And if it's as easy as it is for me to get it, it's as easy for everyone else to get it too. So there's no moat, right? It's just a WebSocket handler. I just don't see value in that. No worries, Clover. Thank you for chilling. Yeah, I do think we would have to figure out more scaling problems or solutions if we ended up having to do like Reddit and Twitter. So once we get to that point, sure. But I think with the platforms that we're doing right now, we could focus on doing things that actually separate us rather than just being a listener. Right? There's not much of a moat to being a listener. To how we do our filtering, I think is more of a moat than what other platforms do. Set up alerts in free text. I'm not listening to stock data. And there's stock services that do that. History data would be a moat. For what? And nothing stops someone else from just doing that. And there's more to what Messijo does than just a WebSocket. The data is the easiest thing to get. That is not a moat. It just isn't. Helping people filter through the haystack of data, that is a moat. Right? Doing that in a way that other apps just don't. And keep in mind that it's not just one WebSocket connection. That's just for Blue Sky. There's also Hacker News and Lobsters and other platforms that I'll add as we go. But listening to those fire hoses is very, very simple. There's no value in that to me. Is there an API? No, there isn't. I understand what you're saying, Gouda. It's just not the application I'm building. If someone else wants to build that app, they can. But I have no interest in that. If someone decided to start gathering the data, collecting it over time, they can do that. But that's just not an app I want to build. I don't give a shit about that. Do you know someone who would pay for that? And the person that would pay for that is also the person that could probably just set it up because it's so dead simple to do. And how much do you guys pay for it? Like, how much would you pay for it? Like, let's actually crunch some numbers and think about that. Right? And how much data is that? Like, how historical are we talking? How about the size of that data? Oh, where's your calculator? So 5 years. So here's the big thing. I would have to maintain this service nonstop for 5 years. Right? And let's just say we'll do it on standard, but yes, we could do Glacier. So how much storage are we talking about? No, it's not even effort. It takes capital. That's a big difference. Anyone can do it, but it takes capital. But what I'm trying to say is, how much would it cost for me to do this? And there's a ceiling to how valuable that data is, because the moment you sell it to someone else, they can just sell it to someone else. Sure, you can put it in contracts, but that doesn't stop shady shit from happening. $2.5 million records from 5 years. So that's what you're paying for that. Sure. But if we think about it, hold on. So 1.4 million posts per day, right? And if we wanted to estimate that, what do we want to estimate it at? 1K per post? There's going to be smaller ones. There's going to be larger ones. You're probably going to want image data, right? So it goes way beyond that. If you start getting people's like images and video files, right? Would you need those? That makes it way more expensive. So let's just say they've gotten 2 billion cumulative posts over the past 2 years. Let's just say 1 billion a year. I'm not sure that number actually matches with that. All right, so let's actually go with 1.4 mil. So 1.4 times 365, that's going to be somewhere around 500, right? Yeah, all right. So let's just say at, like we said, 511 million. Oop. Yep, 511 million. We add another, that becomes billion. And that would be by kilobytes, right? So then there were 2 orders of magnitude there. 500 gigs, right, per year at 5 years. It's putting you into 2.5 terabytes, right? And that is an increasing cost over time. But let's just do the final value. Okay. Yeah, I just want to calculate it. I still think BigQuery is the wrong place to put it. And let's just say we don't do anything. Boom. $700 per month. Or actually, no. Monthly, $60. Okay. But then, right, calculate that by year, 700. That's a shitload of operating cost for the chance of finding that one customer that's going to pay $22K for it. I just don't see the value in investing into that yet. But someone who does is probably already doing it, and now I'm competing with them too, because the moat is very low. So it doesn't seem like a good business to me. Like, if you're already funded and you're storing the stuff anyway, then boom, sure. But it just doesn't make sense for what I'm trying to do. And I do think S3 is the absolute best place for this. If you were to do it right, you'd be going to Glacier instead. I bet 2.5 terabytes on Glacier is cheaper. Customers are paying to filter that stuff on the fly as they get the event. This is for social media managers to respond to maybe a support request that someone just complains on the internet about. Various things like that. You need to be able to react to it pretty quickly. After a week, that message doesn't matter to you anymore. All of these things on social media are ephemeral. You need to react to them quickly. That's the goal of Messijo. And as we see with all of the false positives for events, right? Like, we're getting ghost type based upon regular expression stuff. We don't care about ghost type things, right? So yes, we could set our regular expression to ignore ghost type Pokemon or whatever, but filtering this 450 things over the past, I want to say, month maybe, down to something very specific, maybe like, is someone asking for support, etc. That's where you have that value. No, and I understand that. It is healthy in building a business. But yeah, like, let me put it this way, Gouda. There are businesses doing what Messijo tries to do. But the way they're doing their filtering is worse, in my opinion. So if I can actually create an edge by doing filtering better, and then adding agentic stuff on top, that's a thing that these other platforms just aren't doing yet. And could they eventually? Sure. So it's not much of a moat, but it is a differentiator. And I'm like orders of magnitude cheaper. I don't know if you've seen what mention.com charges. Like, holy shit, dude. I'm pretty sure this is per month. If it's per year, then okay, that's kind of reasonable. But per month? Whoo, fuck that. Fuck that. You imagine that AT Proto makes it cheaper. What do you mean by that? Like having full access to the data, like, yeah, but storing the data just isn't worth it to me. But if we wanted to throw it to like, you know, S3 Glacier, I'm curious what that would cost. Yeah, so actually Glacier's more expensive. What? Oh, no, 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 no. It's still holding our, yeah, our original. I thought I turned it off. Okay. So yeah, if you have this stuff in Glacier, you're actually pretty good then. Yeah, so this could be a valuable business at that point if you're offloading to Glacier quick enough. There's still the transfer costs of doing so. But yeah, Glacier makes this a more reasonable thing to do. What's the backup process like for BigQuery? And I don't care if it's SQL based. Like that requires that you're actually like looking at their data objects in a certain way. Like you'd just be storing JSON. Replicate the tables to another region. Dump out of BigQuery every now and then, and that costs money, right? Now, I think something like file storage is the absolute right choice for this, not BigQuery. Yeah, I mean, I just simply disagree. This isn't structured data, and the structure can change over time. So then you'd just be storing a JSON field, and then you lose all the benefits of SQL anyway. Right? You might as well be running S3 select at that point. I don't know for sure. I'm just speculating. But I think at this point, yeah, like the server costs get really, really good. I don't think so. I don't think BigQuery is a good choice for this. Why would I want to be mutating metadata? Right? This is an archive. And the moment you want to do that, you can pull it out of Glacier. Like I'm really curious about BigQuery's pricing. And that's Google, right? Okay. Right. So you only get the first 10 gigs free. So I'm not sure where you're talking about terabytes. Unless I'm missing it. For 1 terabyte for a full month, you would pay $23. And again, I'm just saying, like, where? You might be grandfathered into something, but I wouldn't be. And then technically I'd need to have a slot going, right? So then there's extra cost based on the slot. I get that. That doesn't mean that's a deal I can get. You guys may have some kind of like, I don't know, some kind of sales offering thing where like, yeah, sure, they're giving you that 2 terabytes on BigQuery, but they're probably charging you for other stuff, right? So it becomes an extra like thing for them just to get you on the hook. I would have guessed that you guys have an account representative with whom you actually negotiated this stuff, because I'm not seeing that free data that you're talking about, and this is all I have to go on. Just you and a regular account? I don't know, man. Present them. I'd have to see that value. Otherwise, this is what I got to start figuring out. Right, so there's what, 86,000? No. 36, no, shit, hold on, let me just do this. I think 86,000 is the seconds. Yeah, so 720 hours. That was a South Park reference, for sure. Present them. Yeah, exactly. I love that one. Of data processed. That is different from storage. Processing and storage is separate. So that's for your compute. That's a totally different thing. Right? Processing versus storage. That is a separate thing. Right? All right, so we're at that times that. And then, right, we said 2.5 terabytes, which would be 2,500 gigabytes. Yeah? So then we'd be at around $50 a month if we kept it in BigQuery. Now, if we were to partition things in BigQuery, we could cut that in half, but that is still 5 times more expensive than if we hosted it in Glacier. So even at $25 a month, and hold on, no, we looked at the Glacier and it was like $9 a month. So it's only 2.5 times the cost. But still, when you are bootstrapping, you got to really justify every expense. And I can't justify this expense. Now, should I eventually get this into part of my pitch deck? Here's why I need funding. Part of the reason is we want to become a global archive for this data of all these things that we're going to scrape. And that goes into our operating costs, blah, blah, blah. So maybe that's a good point there, Gouda. I could easily throw this into the pitch deck. But it's just not something I feel safe bootstrapping at the moment. So I do like that. I do like that idea. right? And I could see that. What's up, Yum? How you doing? You were who I was thinking of. We were talking with someone who used to live in Puyallup. They don't anymore. They were here yesterday, and now I'm forgetting their name. Um, no, that's fine, Gouda. I totally get it. Yeah, I would say that lines up with what I'm thinking, right? Especially if you're partitioning your BigQuery storage better, then sure. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Because, if you're like, I think they called it partitioning, but if you're partitioning your data properly, then some of that goes into long-term storage, and that gives you a 50% discount. And it's based upon like how often you query it. So that could be kind of smart. You still have access to query it as you need, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I'm just saying, I do think you're onto something. I don't think it's part of my core bootstrapped business at the moment, but I do think it makes sense in a pitch deck. Right? What's the most valuable thing, right, in this coming world of AI? Data to train the AI with, right? So I don't know. Could be something there. But I also think there are probably businesses already doing this. If not, well, that's fine. Would have needed to start yesterday. Yeah, I get that, but still, just at this point, like, and I know you mean yesterday, like figuratively. It's just more like you got to find a buyer first, and that's an entirely like separate business. How do you get the salespeople in the pipeline for that to happen? That gets tricky. But still, not a terrible idea. I just don't think it's right for this business right now. That's all. But yeah, honestly, I do need to start like crafting a pitch deck. Like here, look at it this way. Algolia is already probably doing what we're talking about, right? Like Algolia already indexes like all of Hacker News. And that's how we're even getting that data. So I would kind of expect that these companies that it's their bread and butter for this kind of like archival data searching BS, I feel like they've already got this handled. So then it's a race to the bottom on pricing down the road. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. No internet issues here today. Yeah. Yeah, we're good. Man, I could watch these clips of seeing Jake Paul get the shit kicked out of him all day long, just on repeat. We seen the slow-mo of like how like shifted his jaw gets from that one hit. Oh man. Stream's going well. Yeah, we're chilling. Wait, what'd you get auto-modded for? Oh, nice. There you go. I am still really proud of that present them reference. Present them. But how's everyone's day going? Anyway, yeah, I think this was a good thought process, good thought experiment. And yeah, I just never reach for BigQuery. So I do think you could be right that S3 does get overused, but I don't know if it's overused for the case that we're really thinking about. But yeah, I don't know. I know Backblaze is really cheap. Yeah. Um, yeah, Backblaze is really cheap. And I do love how Backblaze always posts like their numbers, like for like hard drive stuff. That is one of the coolest things in my opinion. Have you seen those blog posts? Oh, I guess it's drive stats now. Yeah, they usually do like a blog post or something. Oh, I guess they are showing like drives failed. They usually break it down more. But yeah, it's still really cool that they publish this. It's why I'll never buy a Seagate hard drive though. All right, so uploading to S3 is still faster, interestingly. Well, actually, for small data, Backblaze is faster. Tarsnap is good for backups. Okay, I haven't used that before. So yeah, this is all just the performance. I thought this was like the Drive like health blog post. So yeah, if you're doing a lot of like small files, Cloudflare R2 is really good. There we go. These were the stats I was looking for. Man, they publish a bunch of new stats these days. Yeah, so some of these yeah, they are very cool. Yeah, exactly. Where am I hosting Messijo? The backend is hosted on server host. One of our mods runs it, and I believe they're just paying for like OVH under the hood. And then we're doing backups to Cloudflare R2. And then the front end is Cloudflare pages. But yeah, like, dude, Seagate. Seagate has like the absolute worst fucking numbers, dude. Server.pro, not server host. Yeah. Server.pro, which is OVH. Thank you. Yeah. But we have a bias on server.pro. Just because, yeah, the person who runs it is one of our mods. Dude, the Western Digital numbers. Fucking killing it, dude. That's the part to me. Like, dude, Western Digital. The most reliable drives. Not a single one with a failure rate over 1. Meanwhile, Seagate, you're seeing like 2.3, 5.9. And the Western Digital is still sitting at like pretty good amounts of drive days, right? Like the average age. I mean, I guess they do have some Seagates with a pretty damn high average age. So that makes sense. Wonder if that's why we're seeing some of these higher ones? No, dude. Yeah, even then. I guess average age of 49 months is nothing to shake a stick at, though. Looks like this latest batch of Seagates fucking suck, though. An HGST, is that Hitachi? Or is that a different brand? I'm not sure entree is the right word there. Does entree literally mean entry? I guess it fits. Okay. No, it fits. All right. I've just never seen entree used that way. Hmm. Wait, so why you set up mirroring and never stripping for your own stuff at home? I've never set up a NAS before. What is the stripping? What does that mean? Like, I know what stripping is. I've been to Portland. Striping. Sounds like stripping with more steps. Or maybe less steps? I don't know. I'm bullshitting now. But yeah, anyway, let's shut some of this down. I do think it was a good discussion, so appreciate it. Thank you, Gouda. Striping is where you run your data across a pool of drives. Mirroring is just a one-to-one copy on however many drives you have. Striping is more space efficient. Got it. When we're talking about that, I'm guessing that's not like a RAID setup? Or is it closer to like RAID 0? Like RAID is all about like uptime, right? Which is maybe not necessarily what you're looking for archival storage, right? There is striping involved in a lot of the RAID levels. Okay, that makes sense. Right, but with mirroring, you're limited to your smallest drive's capacity at that point, right? Whereas with RAID, theoretically, with striping, you could have smaller drives in there. I'm pretty sure it's still better to just have all drives the same size, right? I don't know nearly enough about it. I've never set up a NAS. It does sound fascinating. Also sounds like a lot of work, and it sounds like a space heater. I've already got problems with the heat living in Washington. Ah, yes. The number one catchphrase of a programmer, it depends. Touche. Touche. Damn. Jake Paul? That's the one that got beat? He's got a broken jaw? It really is Christmas time. No, I don't wish for someone to get hurt. I just don't like the dude. I think a broken jaw, that's a bummer. No one deserves that. He did deserve getting clocked in the face a few times, though. Thank you, other guy, doing what Mike Tyson should have done. But yeah, having all drives the same size makes things a lot simpler. I get it. Exactly, Cocodopoulos. He found his skill level, or his skill ceiling, I guess we'll say. And it obviously means, well, yeah, he can handle 60-year-old men, but he can't handle someone in their prime. Yeah, both sides. Yeah. Again, we don't want to revel in it too much. I don't actually wish harm on him. I just, you know. And yeah, so hold on. And all of it's dependent on the actual backplane that the drives are connected to, etc. So when you say backplane, do you mean the way like the data is being routed and all that? So more like, are you using, like, I know this is dated, like SCSI versus SATA versus whatever, right? Like probably nothing's going over SCSI anymore. Bad example. But, right, like is it more just the way they're connected or like networked? Like, yeah, what is, and is that what backplane means? Oh, okay, okay. Got it. Okay. Yeah, what is the right way to connect up NAS drives? And I could look it up. I'm curious, and it's a chatting stream at this point. Let's actually get into doing some of this stuff while we're hanging. But yeah, like what is the way that you're wiring these things up usually? Is it over SATA? I feel like SATA would be the most. Well, I mean, SATA is serial though, so you probably wouldn't want SATA. Yeah, I don't know. I'm actually really curious about this. Do you need like a whole separate RAID controller to kind of do this stuff, and then things are routed to that? And I could look it all up. It's fine. If you're tired of my 20 questions, I get it. Okay, so at home, SATA is actually the right thing. Okay. It did seem the most flexible to me, right? Compared to like other possibly proprietary things. But in enterprise, it's SAS. Like the British Special Services? That is hardcore. Like Special Forces? Damn. You can put SAS drives in SATA ports at home too. Oh, okay. I get it. I get it. Makes sense. Serial attached SCSI. So SCSI is still a thing. Oh shit! I didn't know that. I did not know that. Yeah. Shit. You have tons of SCSI drives at work? Interesting. Yeah, I never would have thought of that. It just seems like an older thing, but yeah, okay. I would assume they've kept up throughput and all that stuff, but yeah. Huh. Yeah. All the crazy storage is NVMe, which is PCI Express, and yeah. But that's not for like RAID setups, though. Yeah? Or is that something you'd still do in a RAID setup? Yeah, I find this fascinating. I appreciate you guys chatting me through this. You can definitely do it with flash-based storage. Okay, so then does it not route through? Like, does it still route through like a central like RAID controller or whatever? I would assume you still need some kind of like dedicated board for routing to storage arrays. It'll still use a RAID controller. Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate this, guys. Thank you. Depends on the product. Some still have a physical controller, others it's all software based. Interesting. I would assume with software based, you would need like specialized motherboards to handle all that. Like, yeah, I would guess you're at that point you're looking at network storage, like focused hardware, right? Just to have all the NVMe like slots and all that stuff, right? Like, you're not going to build that with just some like desktop motherboard. Like, you could, but you're probably better off getting something focused. Okay. Yeah. No. This is fascinating. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. On any AMD EPYC. Right. So that's the AMD EPYC like itself, right? It can handle that. But what about like slots on the motherboard? How do you open that up, right? The standard desktop motherboard doesn't have enough space for all of that NVMe. So then you're looking at a specialized motherboard at least, right? The CPU is probably fine. Or are you looking at like sister boards or like other things that you pop in? On desktop, you can get a separate add-on card. Got it. Okay. That makes sense. So it's just like in a PCI slot, and then you can do the expansion via the PCI slot. Sure. That makes a lot more sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. You can even chain expansion cards? Oh. Okay, so there's PCIe connectors on server boards that take less space and connect to the backplanes. Oh, okay. Daughter board, not sister board. You know what I meant. I knew it was one of them things. Okay. Same thing? All right. Yeah, I don't know. I yeah. I feel like I've heard someone say sister board before, but also they could have been wrong too. But if it's actually like interchangeable, then I get it. Not to be confused with the stepsister board. That was a bad joke. I shouldn't have made one. I shouldn't have made that joke. There you go. Nailed it. That was the best way to like bring us back to reality. Shucking drives instead of stripping drives? Okay. Going to your friend's concert? No worries, Glober. Thank you for chilling. We'll see you again soon. Yeah, I got a thing here in like a half hour or so. Like, you know, I don't need to show up immediately at the start. It's just like a holiday party. Yeah, we'll see you again soon, Glober. I plan on streaming tomorrow. For people who are not aware, I normally don't stream on this channel on Sundays. I'm thinking I could stream on this channel tomorrow. And we'll be streaming this Wednesday, because, yeah, New Year's Eve. Or not New Year's Eve, but, yeah. And no, Charles, dude. That is not your fault whatsoever. I'm the one that was actually super curious and wanted to chat about it. So thank you for engaging me there. I sometimes get on some people's cases for like the 20 questions thing, and I just put you through a game of 20 questions, didn't I? Will it fit in a bread box? I'll be streaming tomorrow. So here's the thing, Glober. I always make a post to the announcements channel in Discord. So if you want to set up a notification for that channel, that is the best way to get notified when I'm going live. I don't tag everyone, right? Like there's a bunch of streamers that'll tag everyone in those channels, right? Like at here or at server or whatever. I don't do that because I stream too much. But it gives people the option of opting into one of those posts. Yeah, no worries, Glober. Yeah, and I would say make that channel notifiable if you just want to get the notification pretty quickly. There are very few days that I miss it. Exactly, Yum. Yep. And then, yeah, Charles, you enjoyed chatting about storage after overwhelming several arrays at work, and folks telling you you didn't when all the metrics show you clearly did. Oh. Well, that doesn't sound quite as fun, but okay. Yeah, the today command is, like, it's almost always the announcement, like, message. So, yeah. It's actually a good way of seeing, like, what I've been doing and how far we've come. It's kind of a cool journal that way. And honestly, I should probably be posting that stuff to social media as, like, a build-in public kind of thing. That would actually be kind of smart. So yeah. Anyway, let's keep doing this. Your social media feeds are already too full. No, and I get that. It's just there was that post that Dax wrote where it was like, hey, who all do you all think is like your favorite build-in public people? And not a single person mentioned me. Like people who are friends even didn't even mention me. So it was just one of those things. No. Dax as in Dax Red. Yeah. No, and I get that, Code Girl. I understand. It's just that's probably a big part of it. The people that are self-selecting for chatting and responding to a Dax post. Because, yeah, he does a lot of shit posting. He's great. Yeah, super nice dude, but he does a lot of shit posting. And I tend to not engage with the shit posts. Yeah, super nice dude in real life. Yeah, for sure. What if you abuse Messijo to subscribe to the going live notifications for the stream? Big think moment. Yeah, I think the tricky part would be getting the filter just right. Like, could be possible. I just think there's better mechanisms. But not a bad idea. I will say it's usually more fun when Dax interacts with one of your posts, right? Are we doing Bagelgate again? Damn it. All right. So now I got to go to Twitter to find it. There it is. Finally had one of those New York babe goals people are always talking about. Not bad. Yeah, this dude in the background, like, why is he taking a photo? And then Dex, you fucker. Pretty happy to get a sincere Dex post. Wait, how did I not like all of these? Why didn't I like these comments? Well, that's me just blowing it. But yeah, gonna get me a New York slice. Same vibe. Hold on, there was another one too. Wait. So yeah, there's gonna be another one of these posts. Maybe I should praise the Chinese food with a photo in front of Panda Express. And Mark's like, you won't. You're right. I went for some authentic Mexican food instead. And yes, that's me walking around New York with a whiskey Coke. Yep. There you go, four wheel. Nah, for me, that would be Taco Del Mar. That rice food poisoning will get you. Just the worst. But okay, so yeah, we haven't done shit for this form. Let's hammer out some UI malarkey. So what I think we've done is we have these like one-off components that live on the events page, and they are for a lens result or an event. we want to show something like that over on this page, but I think it's separate. Like, we want to get the 10 latest events that we matched, sure. And then we want to show whether the prompt you have lines up with those. But you're going to need to do the whole, like, run thing. I think it's still at the point where I want to build these kind of like ad hoc. And if we can find a good abstraction, then we do so. But I don't think we're at the point of making the abstraction yet. I think if we build this and then we start looking at the components side by side, what are some things that we can do to create like a better base component? But for now, I just think it's separate. It's just a different thing we do. So I do want to go copy and paste it. And this is where we get into my rule of threes. This is the third time this thing exists, but it's not our third paste. Right? It's only our second paste. So rule of threes can be, well, is it the third instance or is it the third paste, which would be the fourth instance? And you can be like fuzzy about it because those kind of rules are important, right? But important to not be too rigid about, in my opinion. Damn, this album's kind of quiet, huh? Taxo Bell. Yeah. That's what it does to your gastrointestinal system. It taxos the bell. I don't know. I'm just BSing. God, I hate when my fingernails get too long. But then I always like bite them and then they get jagged. And then you randomly like cut yourself while scratching. But yeah, so the part where we care about this, it does live here at the form. Or the touchscreen on your phone stops working? Wait, how does that work? Is that when your fingernails get too long and now it doesn't register right? I've never had fingernails long enough for them to register on my phone. I never let them get that long. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm always like thumb typing. Yeah, I've never had that problem. All right, so yeah. All right, so this is going to be a div. And we're going to have another div. You get a div. You get a div. Everybody gets a div. I want the cancel and the save to be in that column still. And then this becomes a separate div. And yes, should I be using section more? Yes, I absolutely should. Damn, this song's crunchy. Hold on, let me do one thing here. And hey, Alex, Mr. Sir, thank you for the sub, dude. Still using a Mac Mini for dev? Yeah, I upgraded my Mac Mini, though. So yeah, the last Mac Mini lasted me 10 years. I expect this one to last another 10. Especially with that 10 gigabit Ethernet. It's right there. I just did a command that tells you everything about it. I guess I pointed up. It's in your chat, which is going to be that direction. It's probably like right there. All right. That's the last beverage until later. I don't think we need another right now anyway. But yeah, so what we're going to end up having here... Before we get too deep, yeah, we're going to have some state. We're breaking our rule again, I think, about no data fetching in components. Like we're still going to have the WebLLM thing acting as its own bit of state. We could pass events into this, though. That should be fetched. I was wondering why that wouldn't autocomplete. I did keyboard response. That's definitely not it. Yeah. All right. So there we go. So we're going to have some state still internally. Do I use the Magic Mouse keyboard and a Mac screen too? No, not a Mac screen. Do I look like I'm made of money? Hell no. But I do use the Magic trackpad, not the mouse. I think the mouse is garbage, but the trackpad's great. I especially like the trackpad because it's a different form factor. So like doing this all day is way better than when I go and play games and I'm doing that all day, you know? So to me, I feel like it's just slightly better towards that like repetitive stress injury type problem where I can use any finger I want, right? Maintain absolute neutral wrist position while I'm doing the trackpad thing. And then while I'm gaming, it's less time doing the same exact thing all day. So I try and like really use a different input device for gaming versus work. But yeah, the magic mouse is fucking garbage anyway, isn't it? Have they fixed the charging problem yet? And by that I mean, is the thing still on the bottom of it? Because that's fucking stupid. I think that's so fucking stupid. No, they didn't fix it. So yeah, like, yeah. Does it charge super fast at least? Because I could see that. Like, if they were really going to be smart about it, they should do, like, wireless charging and ship a fucking mouse pad with it. But, like, a wireless charging mouse pad, and then you're set. Problem solved. My guess is they specifically did it because they wanted to discourage people leaving it plugged in all the time. Just from an aesthetic perspective. But I don't know. I can only speculate. Yeah, if they just made it like wireless charging capable, that'd be huge. And then it's just, yeah, the trackpad and the mouse, and then they could sell more mouse pads, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me why they wouldn't try and sell more mouse pads, you know? Why would they never do that? Because they'd be admitting a mistake. Sorry, one second, one second. Brother stuff. Now you have to go look at an Apple mouse? Maybe. Due to the shape of the mouse, they can't add the port in front. Well, that's fine, but why wouldn't they still do like a wireless charging thing? But yeah, maybe wait, maybe other bullshit. Maybe they had too many made and now they're just sitting on a bunch of stock. I think that is probably it. They've got some in a warehouse somewhere, and they got to ship what's left still before they can introduce something like game breaking, you know? Yeah. Either the bottom or the side. Bottom is worse for the end user, so that's where they decided to do it. Yeah, right. That wasn't even close to what I wanted there. Wait, what do you mean by that? Like you're saying it's just too thin? Yeah, I'd actually want it taller. Yeah, I just like the trackpad. Well, here's the thing. You could just build a peripheral that mounts onto the bottom, so then it makes it taller for people who give a shit, who want it that way, but also gives it the wireless charging capability. That could be really interesting. Ultra thin USB L adapter. The feet suck, so yeah, you can make your own feet that are better too, right? Make the magic mouse unsuck. Boom, nailed it. Here you go. Right, so if we change this, they go back to 0. Sure. We're against common sense to help keep your wallet empty. Yeah. But then coming next year, common sense in a very select way. The new iPhone cloth holder. Introducing Uncommon Sense Pro by Apple. Only 26 grand. There you go. These are exactly the kind of people that I would expect to have something like this. And this isn't a joke. This is not a joke. It sold out in less than a day. No, it's even better if you did sold out like that way. Right? Like Musicians Against Drugs. Absolutely sold out. $150 fucking dollars, dude. Some people just don't deserve to have money. In before there's a designer one that looks literally like a sock with like the stripe on top and like the pad like colors and shit. There you go, four wheel for sure. Done. Right? Like, dude. The fact that they're like designed to fit any iPhone, yeah, it's a fucking sock. Like, dude, are you kidding? I couldn't sigh loud enough. God, these fucking hipsters, though. Yeah, what does 3D knitted mean? I don't know. I think you can just throw 3D on top of anything and you're good. Right. It's knitted in the 3D world. You know, like, yeah, exactly. What isn't 3D knitted? Technically, everything's 4D knitted because it takes time. It is Apple really being like, no, we can sell bullshit to anyone. That is really it. They're just they're just flexing their chops. Like, dude, what if we got people to buy a fucking sock for their phone? I bet we could do it. No, someone was saying they sold out. Like, totally sold out. Fiber-based cloth using air-based holes. Ooh. Tell me more. Are the air-based holes MacBook Air compatible? Nailed it. Yes. How many people almost die from my jokes? That's a measure of success. This is making you realize you need new socks because you already cut your own like iPhone holder, didn't you? You already did it. You can get the pocket with extra padding. Yeah. Right? For the heel and toe. There you go. I think you're one vending machine in Japan away from success. One hole wasn't enough, so I made another. There you go. So I want to put the warning at the bottom. Damn, this song is crunchy. Oh, wait, is our songbot down? Oh, I guess it doesn't work. Doesn't work when it's a reply. Weird. Okay. But I get my music from Bandcamp. Yep. Yeah, that song was good. Holy shit. I don't think we'd heard that one yet. It is the last song on the album, and it is 6:10 p.m. I have a dinner to go to. I still need to, like, get dressed and use the restroom and pick up some Coca-Cola from the store and all that stuff. So, yeah, I got some stuff to do. I'm going to a dinner here in like an hour or so. So I think this is a good moment at which we could wrap up for the day. And hey, Myrtle Beach! Haven't seen you in fucking forever. Date night? No, it's just a holiday party. Damn, I'm sorry there, Myrtle Beach. I'm actually taking off. I know. Like, my bad. I will be here tomorrow, though, for anyone that wants to join. Rare Sunday stream. I think we can probably do the next 2 Sundays. So it should be fun. So yeah, I'll be here tomorrow, hanging out, doing our thing. We're going to keep working on this feature. We got to make it look pretty. And we still haven't even started like getting things into the list yet. So maybe like preview ends up just being a thing, and then we have like status and some other BS. I don't know. I kind of need like a day to stew on design changes for this anyway. But yeah, Myrtle Beach, haven't seen you in forever, man. It's good to see you. Who is streaming right now? Who should we go raid? And yeah, pretty rare that we end a Saturday stream this early. I guess, I don't know, it's not that rare. Wow, Acorn's going. All right, let's go do that. Let's go raid Acorn. Yeah, awesome. Haven't seen Acorn streaming in a while. So yeah, thank you all for hanging out. We had a good day today. We did a lot of BSing. Still a lot of good value there. Not as bad as some of the other BSy days. And we're going to pick back up and do this tomorrow, right? Got stuff to fix. Always something to fix. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is going to be a big part of making the user experience for fine-tuning and filtering your lenses better, right? Showing like an interactive amount of things. As you change your prompt, you can click a button and then test kind of stuff. So I think that'll be valuable. So let's go see what Acorn's up to. Thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate you. Yeah, we'll be streaming tomorrow. We'll be working on this stuff. But, yep, I do have a dinner to go to tonight. So I'm going to go do that. I'm going to eat some fried chicken from this place that we looked at earlier. I'm hoping it's really good. And, yeah, I will see y'all tomorrow. So have a great rest of your day. I'm going to stop the YouTube.